because we know of the different test cases that we have to write, and we are actually planning to write the test cases manually. So we can start writing the test cases, but as the project goes on, it becomes difficult to think of all the possible scenarios and implement them. So that is why the directed approach, although it is easier to start writing them, it becomes difficult to complete it. That is why this is the graph of a typical directed test bench, wherein it is easier to start the test case writing but difficult to complete it. Whereas the constraint random approach, in which it actually is a bit difficult to start writing the test cases, because the initial environment creation will take some time. In this time, there will be no test case creation. So at the start of project, it might take some time for you to start writing the test case, but once the test bench is ready, it is easier to create multiple scenarios just on day one itself. On the day when your test bench environment is ready, you will be able to generate multiple scenarios. And this gain actually further continues till the end of the project, because you will be able to cover all the corner cases in lesser time as compared to the directed approach. So this is where the constraint random approach, that is the modern approach of verification, helps as compared to the directed approach. So in an automated approach, the inputs are generated randomly, and the test bench that you have created also checks the results. That is, the creation of the inputs as well as the checking of the results is an automatic approach. So that indicates that it actually saves a manual effort of creating values, and it also improves the test coverage. So the coverage, as we discussed, are the different corner cases that we have manually figured out to cover during the verification project. So the random approach actually gives you a flexibility to create different scenarios, feed it to the design and observe the response. Now we have discussed the different types of verification and how it is done, but how do we know when to complete the verification? So the very important thing for that is the approach that we are going to follow. So as we discussed that there are different types of coverage. One is called a functional coverage and the other is called a code coverage. In general, the verification project planners make sure that both of these coverages reach 100% before we can say that the verification is over. Now what is a functional coverage and what is a code coverage? Code coverage indicates how much of the code has been executed. That is the RTL code, whichever has been written, how much of that has been executed by the test bench that we have created. How many times the different expressions of the RTL design, the different branches of the RTL design have been executed. This coverage is collected by the different simulation tools that we have in market today, like Questa Simulator, VCS or the ANSYS Sim Simulator. The users use this coverage to reach the corner cases which are not hit by the random test cases. Because as we discussed, the verification is a never-ending approach. Even the random test bench generation might not be able to achieve all the corner cases. So this is one step further from that. If we try to achieve 100% code coverage, it might actually has a byproduct saying that it will help us reach those corner cases which could not even be generated by the random test cases. And once we know that how much of the code has not been, whichever part of the code has not been exercised, we can create manual test cases for those to reach the missing code coverage areas. Whereas the functional coverage is defined by verification languages like System Verilog. The user will define different cover points for the functions to be covered in DUT. So as we discussed earlier, that even in ALU project, we could figure out the different points that we want to cover, the different scenarios that we want to check the DUT in. So when we write those points using System Verilog, those are called functional coverage. And the functional coverage is used to stress test the DUT, that how does the DUT behave when these scenarios are applied to the DUT. So just to give a summary of the introduction to functional verification, we could understand that it is a necessary evil. That is, it always takes too long to complete the verification, and it also costs too much, because it, as we saw, that it is actually two-third of the total verification plan. But it also does not generate any revenue. But it is yet indispensable. That is, even to create revenue, the design must work correctly, and the verification is the step which ensures that the design works correctly. The proper functional verification demonstrates the trustworthiness of the design. That is, only when we are sure that the design works correctly, we can actually create a chip out of it. And to make sure that it works correctly, we have to ensure that the functional verification is done exhaustively. This concludes the introduction to functional verification session.